Greetings, flameborn. Rhadamant here. Thank you for tuning in to the first episode of a new series covering Enshrouded. If you would like to skip the game's overview or the setup of this series, please use YouTube chapters. Enshrouded is an open-world survival role-playing game where you build a village for other survivors and fight to reclaim your lost kingdom. You are a flameborn, the last of a dying race, and you're tasked with saving others of your race and using their crafting knowledge to turn the tide of war against the enshrouding of the world. I'll be polling live viewers, you guys, for many of the important choices, but I'm asking for no backseating or spoilers. It is not a procedurally generated game, it is a story game, so spoilers would be a problem. And I'll be playing on single player on normal difficulty. Now the game is co-op, and it goes up to, I think, 16 players, but I'll be solo for this. The goal of the series is to showcase the game and its mechanics, not to min-max speedrun or be a completionist. Many of the important choices will be left up to you guys about what I'm currently working on and how aesthetically pleasing our village gets and things like that. But beyond that, try to keep the back seating to a minimum. And let's get going. You can hit play, private, create a new world. I'll be on normal difficulty. We'll call this stream. So there's sort of relaxed and easy, there's normal, there's hard, there's survival, which is super hard. And then there's custom, where you can customize your settings. And unlike a lot of the other games I play, the normal setting is pretty decent. Whereas normal settings on V Rising would be impossibly frustrating. So let's get going, and we're gonna go straight to a cutscene, so bye for now.
Long ago, a wanderer brought an enthralling gift to the people of Embervale. The elixir. It was a cure, a blessing, a weapon. Once concealed by the ancients, its might had been set free. With it came power, mistrust, and a longing for more. Humanity dug the elixir wells, ripping apart the land and each other to quench their thirst. Elixir and blood, a drop for a drop. But from the depths of the wells, an unforeseen curse crept into Embervale. The Shroud, a ruinous fog which sought only to spread and devour. Facing their downfall, ancients and humans united to forge the flameborn. Now, your time has come. Awake.
I'm a vat-grown warrior. Well, maybe not a warrior yet. You've slumbered for too long, Flameborn. The realm of Embervale has fallen, consumed by the Shroud. Now the enduring flame calls for you. Find a place in the ruined world and construct a flame altar to create shelter from the dark. Recipe unlocked, flame altar. New quest, claim a spot for your base. A vast world awaits you, filled with secrets and peril. Press I to navigate the map and track your discoveries. So here is the map. As I mentioned in the intro, it is not procedurally generated. And it wants me to plop my first base over here. I can click this and set it as a waypoint or ping it. I'm going to waypoint it. And now I can see it is 110 meters ahead in front of me. It's that pillar of light. There are ruins. And this is the Cinder Vault where you start. Interactable quest objects will glow like this around the world. There are hundreds of them. At least for now, I intend to read them all, but at some point that might become a little laborious. On the flame and its murmurs, pure light engulfs the knowledge of the ancient breed, protects it in a flaming core. Wisdom far beyond our own imagination. I could stare into the fire for hours, seeking answers, a whisper, but I hear none. A shame, as I believe we could have quite enlightened conversations. Balthazar. Alright. Fall damage is a thing, so I can't just, like, leap. I could probably, like, mountain goat down these mountains, but let's follow the proper path. Now, in terms of the UI, as you can assume, toolbar here is 1 through 8, and Alt flips it, so you have 16 hotkey slots. Kind of 17 if you have a ranged weapon. Get into that later. When you're exploring, there are lots of items to collect. The world, not being procedurally generated, but static, will regenerate loot in some cases. So if you pick up things, you can come back later on, and it will be there again for you to pick up. I'm going to raise the volume just a little bit. I always struggle to try to pick the right volume. And then there are chests. And chests will be of different colors depending on their rarities. So, like, these sort of brown chests are the like, lowest quality, and then you have, like, silver, gold, so on and so forth. And I have picked up a torch and bandages. Here we go, another torch. That one was glowing because it wants me to have a torch going through the tunnels. Now, I am flameborn, and as a result, I will constantly be illuminating stuff around me. So you'll see, like, random lamps in the light light up, which just sort of helps you guide the way. Use a terraforming tool or explosives to forge a path through the rubble. Explosive powder balls can be thrown, explosive barrels detonate at range. I mean, you don't have to detonate them at range, but it kind of hurts if you don't. These terraforming balls are great for terraforming. They are terrible for mining. They do not make for a replacement for mining. Ode to Pikemead. And I'm not going to read this song, but there's lore about nobles and its history. And here is a silver chest. Alright, if you hit N, as in November, it opens up your character screen. There is World Journal, Crafting Backpack, Skills, and Character. And in this case, thankfully, I'm wearing pants. It's not offering me very much protection, but at least I have pants on. Otherwise, Twitch would have an issue. No, I'm just kidding. There's no nudity. But I have 2 ring slots, despite having, you know, seemingly 10 fingers. And we can equip the Hunter's Ring in one of them, which is stamina and stamina regeneration. Now, in terms of stats, there is Constitution, which is your health, Spirit, which is your mana, Endurance, which is your stamina. So, Endurance will give a lot more stamina than stamina alone. So if it was like a +1 Endurance ring, that's a lot more beneficial than a +1 stamina ring, for instance. Strength, which is your melee damage for some weapons, Dexterity for other weapons. So Strength is your melee damage for, like, most weapons, but your Dex does control your dagger damage, which is a bit different. And then Intelligence, which is magic damage. And all of these other stats. And you can see your damage calculations and your protection calculations in there as well. So now I'm wearing that ring. Let's keep going. Now, there is fall damage, but a ledge of this height, no problem. And of course, we can search other sections. The circle that you see on the left, which You know, if you've played like Breath of the Wild or something, it's a similar stamina bar. And it can fill up well past 100% depending on what you've eaten, rested bonuses, potions you've taken, etc. In this case, you know, I've got greater than 100%. And then this is the Shroud, or the fog, the ruinous fog. There we go, another torch, just in case my original one burned out, which it hasn't. Let's see. Still a bit too loud. I'll never get it right. Your inner flame allows you to resist the Shroud, but if you linger, you will perish. Escape the Shroud to replenish your maximum time in the Shroud. So at the top, by the compass, you see a timer. It's a 5-minute timer for now. There's other things that you can do to increase the time in the Shroud, and there's also things that can happen to you which will decrease the time. But when your timer is up, you die. There are different levels of fog, so this is like level 1 fog, if you will. If I was to step into level 2 fog, I could live for maybe like 5 seconds. Basically, you need to get stronger to resist higher levels of fog, and this is a game mechanic that prevents you from going too deep too quickly. Basically, to progress through the story at an appropriate rate. Within the fog, you have items like this thing, which will, as you can see, burn time off your timer. So you got to be careful because there's also like environmental things which can harm you and cause you to lose enshrouded time. Press tab to lock onto your foes and control to dodge out of harm's way. I really hate lock unless it's a specific enemy that's like flying around or something, so I don't use it very often. But yes, you can dodge plenty without locking. It's no problem. And because I'm only really equipped with torches, I don't intend to really fight these guys. So let's get out of this fog and keep on moving. And those are the like enshrouded monsters. More on them later. This right here is a return beacon. If I was to die, I would return here. When you die, depending on your settings, your difficulty settings, you drop stuff. Maybe. It really depends on your settings, but I have default loot loss on death, which means if I die, I will lose most of my collected resources, but I would not lose my gear. So if I had equipment on or weapons, I keep those, but I do lose whatever resources I had gathered. And the return beacons will automatically activate anytime you pass by one, so they're basically just like a save point, if you will. On the top left, you can see on the road, you get a stamina bonus, or rather a stamina reduction, I should say, by running on roads. And I just discovered Longkeep, which is the first ruined city, and subsequently leveled up. So here is the skill tree. And there are Survivor, which is like, well, surviving, endurance, and tanking, but like HP pool. Beastmaster, which is, and it's also worth noting, some of these trees are really more useful in multiplayer, not single player. So for instance, Healer, where you like resurrect other players, is not something that's going to be particularly useful to a single solo player. Beastmaster, Ranger, Assassin, Trickster, Wizard, Healer, Battle Mage, Tank, Warrior, Barbarian, Athlete. And without spoiling too much, you easily get enough points to fill multiple trees. You don't just have to pick the one. What I like to do, one of my first skills to get is double jump, because oh my god is it useful. So I'm going to start working towards double jump, which means the first point I'm going to spend is strength towards jump attack, which leads to double jump. Because being able to double jump in a game like this, where map and terrain traversal is important, is just incredibly useful. I can't imagine playing without it. While equipped with a shield or melee weapon, press right mouse button to block. And if you time it right as they attack you, you will parry and stun them. Useful information, but I don't have a weapon yet, so not really sure how that's applicable to me. So although the quest location wants me to go over there to create my first flame I am gonna run about the camp here to see what I can grab so that I'm like not naked. Now, some of these random loot spots, these like scrap spots, you can search, or alternatively, you can just like bash your way to destroy them. Either way works. Captain's Journal, Day 1. Hold the chamber to your last breath. These were the words of the Ancient One, before he entered with a handful of our best warriors. It was the first time I'd seen one of his kind, and I expect it will be the last. His face is burned into my mind. My life and those of my remaining soldiers are pledged to this sacred duty. Captain Arkwright. So often these ruined cities will provide you with like loot opportunities and quests and the like, and there's a lot to search. I am sure, undoubtedly, I'm going to overlook important things. Oh, hi, rat. But again, not trying to be completionist, so if I leave something behind, it's like not a big deal. If it's related to a specific quest, obviously I will fulfill the quest, but if it's not related to the quest, and I overlook it, oh well. Not trying to collect everything. Hey, punch the rat, not the box. You can also use torches for this, although it wears out the torches pretty quick. On the top left, you can see my health. And you can see my mana. The mana is in blue. And we can restore health by eating things or bandaging. So in this case, I'll just bandage. So that my first death in this game isn't by rats. That would be a wee bit embarrassing. Now, I did see something red and glowing up here. So, here we go. It's a scroll. Don't leave my side. Jasmina, is it true? The ancients call upon you to stay behind as the rest of us slumber? Will you be there when I awake? Please, you cannot leave my side. You're my all. Why must we change? I miss the old days when we used to travel together, side by side. You let me linger next to you, you held my hand, and now? All this secrecy, for what? I thought you could confide in me. I don't want the ancients to drive us apart. I'll lose all faith. If you must go, at least give me a farewell kiss. All my heart, Emily. So this is, as you can already probably piece together, a world, like a sort of a post-apocalyptic world where, as the meme goes, they dug too deep, they got too greedy, and they kind of ruined everything. And they created the flameborn, which is my, I guess, species, for lack of a better term, in order to combat the shroud. Water is a great resource of vitality. Drink it to enhance your stamina and regenerate it faster. So in this game, you can have 3 food slots, 4 if you take a survivor perk, but generally 3 food slots, and they will enhance something. So water, for instance, we could just drink it, but it will add stamina. It adds endurance and stamina recharge. And it's a really cheap resource to have, because it costs you basically nothing. You can go up to a well. And the well will refill over time. So this well will eventually refill. And then, of course, there is foods. So in this case, we've got grilled lean meat, which adds constitution. And we got mushrooms, which adds intelligence. So I can eat the mushrooms and the meat. And the food bonuses then can be seen as the green circles on the top left, with the time remaining corresponding to it. Likewise, if I drag the raw meat to my action bar here, I can cook it. So in order to cook, you just scroll to the food, hold left mouse button until you hear a sizzle, and then pull it out of the fire and it's grilled. There are eventually better ways to cook food, like actual meals with much bigger bonuses, but early game, for a very long time, you're just going to be like eating whatever you can hunt or forage. A good night's rest. Finally a break from tedious work. My bones are sore, but the warmth of a fire, a little shelter, and some sleep should allow me to become well rested. Alright, so what this is referring to is your rested bonus. So on the top left here, if you satisfy your need for shelter, warmth, and comfort all at the same time, you get a rested bonus, and that rested bonus like doubles your stamina, allowing you to run around a lot more effectively for a lot longer. So in this case, I have a rested bonus of 7 minutes, and it's important to try to like build a home that allows you to have as high of a rested bonus as possible, so that you have huge bonus stamina when you're going out in the world. Alright, there's a lot more here to explore. Of that I have no doubt. But I am gonna head over to the plains where it wants for me to start a little town. So it wants me to build a flame altar. So I've hit V, as in Victor. We open up the crafting menu. And these are the things that I know how to craft so far. The ingredients they require. And you can pin the recipe. So in this case, I am going to pin the flame altar. And in the top right, you can see I need 5 stone. So easy enough, I can walk around to these stones and just collect them. The larger stones require a pick, which I can make pretty early on. So already in picking up stones, I know how to make a pickaxe now out of stone twigs and string. So I'll make a pickaxe and then pick this one for its resources. And there we go. I have everything I need for a stone flame altar, and in fact, it even tells me how many I can make, which is 2. For the moment, I only need the 1. Once I have the stone altar, or the flame altar rather, I can place it down. And you can kind of see this orange bounding box, this yellow bounding box around me. This is the sphere of influence of land claim. And you are given the opportunity to increase the level of your flame altar later on in order to claim far more area. It's also worth noting, this isn't necessarily the best place to start a base, but I do intend to base here anyway. So some warnings before we really get into it. You can basically build flame altars almost anywhere that isn't inside the fog. The caveat to that is, there are a lot of quests which will happen in cities, in ruins and the like, and sometimes building a flame altar in those cities will break those quests. So it might feel like a shortcut to claim a city like this one, to fix up the buildings and use it as your own, but you could be nuking your chance at completing quests for that zone. There are ways around this where you can have your character go into a new server, basically a new world, and complete the quests in that new world. And then your progress on that quest will be completed, which will carry over to your character. Your characters aren't bound to a specific server that way, I should say. But in my case, I don't intend to make any land claims in towns so that I can avoid the situation where I brick quests. But it's just worth noting, you can brick quests. Now, for the ideal places to settle, if you're wondering, in my opinion, flat is nice, because flat makes building easier. Building near a well is nice early game so that you have a source of water, because the well is literally right over there. I'm staring at it. So that's pretty close to my flame altar. It's not a bad run to grab water. Eventually, you're going to be given the opportunity to build water, but that's like 20 hours into the game or something. It's not early. So having a source of water nearby is really nice. Flat isn't strictly necessary. You do have tools you can make to flatten out earth. But if you want to avoid having to flatten out earth manually, a nice flat plot is pretty nice. The other thing is you can fast travel to your altars. There's a few other fast travel sites in the world, but what I generally like to do is I can, at the moment, have up to 2 altars. I also use my altars as like a fast travel point for points of interest and places that I'm questing and the like. So let's go ahead and commune with the flame. You are not alone. There are other survivors, drowsing in nearby ancient vaults. Find them so they may aid you in your journey. Go gently. One beckons nearby, just outside of the shroud's grasp. All right. So within the flame altar, you can see upgrading its area. So right now it's 40 by 40 by 40 meters. We can increase it to 80 by 80 by 80, which requires shroud cores. We can strengthen the flame. Strengthening the flame allows you to have more altars, go through fog level that is more dangerous, additional character attribute bonuses, and increasing your time in the shroud. And these are the resources required. You can pin these resources if you want so that you can interact with them. And then you can also reskill. So you can, with runes, which is something that like drop pretty commonly, you can modify your skill tree. What I'm trying to say is respecking is super cheap in this game. You don't maybe want to do it every 5 minutes, but doing it every hour is like not entirely unreasonable and it not entirely too expensive. You can also rename the altar. So this one is going to be home. Or actually, you know what? Yodaheim. All right. So the question for you guys right now is, what should I do? Should I go and try to find that survivor, or do some maybe building essentials? And that's completely not where the poll should be. Away with you. There it goes. So quick poll on that. And while you vote on that, I think what I want to do is get myself some basic tools, like an axe, a construction hammer, which I just crafted, maybe a workbench. You know, the very, very, very basics. Maybe a starting weapon, etc. I should also probably set up my own inventory, because at the moment it is a mess. So I'm going to do pick there, hammer here, torch there, food, water here. So I have my active bar here, and my inactive bar there. Basically a combat bar and a non-combat bar. In order to make an axe, I need more twigs, so let's go collect some twigs. Ooh, I hear a wolf. I also just ran out of rested bonus, so as you can see, my stamina bar got nuked. Hello there. Ouchie. Bad puppy. Down. And thank you for your bones and meat. Alright, here's my axe. And there we go. I think it wouldn't be necessarily a bad idea for me to get maybe a club next, which is like a very basic weapon. Yoda cam is enabled. It will be in just a moment. All right, club's done. And then I'll make a string to get the shield. So if I open up my inventory, I can equip the shield. So now I've got a club and a shield, so I can block and parry and stuff like that. All right, getting a workbench would be really nice. So here is the basic workbench, which I'll just stick here for now. We can always move it later. There is like full refunds and you can pick this stuff up. And then whenever you interact with the workbench, it will automatically repair your stuff. So if I had damage to, like if I burn up a torch till it's nothing, I can't repair a nothing. But if your torch is like 1% left and you go to a workbench, you repair it up to full for free. So right at the start, on this workbench, we can make a rake, which flattens things out. We can make a grappling hook and a glider for terrain traversal, and a tiny chest, which would be really nice to have so that I wouldn't have to carry around a bunch of junk. We can also make rough stone blocks, which is a building material, rough wood blocks, building material, tarred wood blocks, and then a tarred shingle roof and fiber roof, like thatch roof, plus some roads. All right, you guys want it to be my choice, so what I want to do is build myself a starting home. So, here is the building mode. We open up the hammer. So without the building mode, you can place down like individual terrain blocks, but this is not how you should build. So instead, go to your construction hammer, hit tab to enter the building mode, and then you can create things out of the materials that you've harvested very, very, very easily. So what I think I'd like to do is I'd like to live not up against the flame altar. What I intend to do is have the flame altar be sort of the town center, if you will, and the house I build not be up against the town center. So I'm going to hold left alt and create different shapes. And one of the ones I'm going to do is a 4-meter sized foundation. In order to do 4-meter sized foundations, I need a lot more stone. So let's go ahead and cancel the building mode and get said stone. Now, anything within my sphere of influence here, within the yellow bounding box of the flame altar, I can remove. So if there's like stones or twigs or sticks, and at the moment, surprisingly enough, there is nothing that falls within the sphere of influence, but if I wanted these like stones here never to respawn, I can basically uproot them and delete them. So you have virtually full control over the terrain around you, which makes the building flexibility pretty high. Now, in terms of stone, I can go around to the boulders that you've seen me go around to so far, or I can just go to like a mountain and start terraforming the mountain, mining it away. Both work. I feel like the boulders are slightly more time efficient because you get more stone for less swings. Plus, you can collect boulders, which is doesn't require a whole lot of stamina. And what I intend to do now is go up to my workbench and just build a whole lot of the stone flooring, which I can make tons of. And now I have plenty of material to build a foundation so that my home is flush with the flame altar. That is more or less why I wanted all this stone. So I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to put myself into a 2x3. And then when I expand the flame altar sphere of influence, I can expand my home back towards the east. Additionally, if I wanted to undo the last thing, you can hit Y and it will undo, which is a pretty handy function. And then if you wanted to remove things, there is a caveat. If I removed this foundation I just put here, it would end up with like a gaping hole. Because I didn't just build the foundation above the ground, I built it below the ground. And you can always terraform your soil to go back into that hole. But, you know, I don't really intend to do that anyway. Alright, so here's my little 2x3. And then I would like to build my home out of wood, not stone. Just as a personal preference. So let's go ahead and build some basic wood blocks. And now with these raw wood materials, I can go to the building mode, hold left control, and mouse wheel to a different material. So here is what the basic wood cabin looks like. And I'll put in 2 windows. I'll even put... I'm not going to have a rear door yet. And just like walls. And if you... Like, I personally like snapping, so by default it snaps, but you can always hit X and turn snapping off if you want. Alright, and at this point I need just a little bit more wood. As you can see, it doesn't take a ton of resources to craft, like, a really... Like, that's kind of a significant structure already. I mean, it's certainly no castle, but it's not squat and tiny. And that took... I cut down, what, like, 2 trees and a few boulders, and we're done. It's very, very quick and flexible. And one of the advantages of this is it allows you to build, like, an entire village without the resource collection that would take you, like, days in other games. Alright, so we've got walls. Some other things that I do not yet have. So here are some other comfort items that we can now build. So So we have a door if I got 2 string, and we have windows. So I will build 2 windows and stick them in. And I'm going to hit X to snap them into the window frame. Oh, that's not right. Yoink. There we go. And then let's get 2 string for the door. And I'll pin it because I also need some wood. And as you can see, a lot of these items are comfort items. And what these comfort items are... In fact, I kind of like the look of this wooden door better. So I already have 2 metal scrap, so I'm gonna build the nicer looking metal door. The one that uses metal, I should say. So the way comfort items work is there are different categories of comfort items, and it takes the best of those categories. So if you have like 2 tables, it will take the table that offers the most comfort, and then it sums up all of the comfort to give you a higher rested bonus, which will increase your resting duration. Which is pretty nice. There's the door. And now, as I'm sure you can imagine, I am lacking a roof. I'm just trying to click on all this essential stuff. So let's do a fiber roof. And I don't have a lot of fiber tiles yet, so I'm going to need to go collect more plant fibers in order to get a roof on. But let's get the basics of a roof here. There. So 1 of 6. And for me to fill out the roof, I just need more plant matter, which is really easy to obtain. Walk around to the bushes and collect them. One thing I will say... God, I feel like it's quiet again. One thing I will say is the plant fibers is something that you will, like, find yourself in need of often, because string is used for, like, bandages and a lot of structures. So when you're walking around, it helps to just, like, passively collect plant fibers if you're off-road and already passing over those points. That way, when it comes time to building, you're not like, oh, okay, I need, like, 100 plant fibers. And then you spend an enormous amount of time collecting those plant fibers. Just passively do it as you move about. And there are other ways, like farming, that you can get plant fibers, but for now, you know, I don't have access to that stuff, so we'll do it this way. Alright, let's see. Rotate. Done. I am now sheltered. And because I'm holding a torch in my hand, or I was a moment ago, I am also warm and comfortable. And as you can see, my rested on the top left just jumped to 10 minutes. There we go. I feel like that's a decent home. Let's put the crafting table inside of it. And put it dead center. Seems like a reasonable place. Thank you for tuning in to Enshrouded, which originally streamed live on Twitch. If you have any feedback or questions for me, let me know in the comments below. If you would like to catch a live stream of mine, Rhadamant.com has my stream schedule and countdown timer to upcoming streams. If you'd like to join my online gaming community on Discord, Rhadamant.com has a link to it, as does the description of this video. Thank you so very much for watching. Special thank you to my Twitch subscribers, Patreon patrons, and viewers like you that support the channel and made it all the way to the credits. Thank you so very much. I hope to catch you next episode or an upcoming stream. Farewell, my fellow Flameborn.